Welcome! This is the video behind a giveaway file. My YouTube handle is hello, hi, hola. The Gumroad handle is Drool Monkeys. Don't ask, it's a silly answer. But I've been coming up with things that I thought were pretty cool, and one such thing is a way to make examples like this. They're symmetrical, six-pointed stars with Vore Noir for the opacity and a different Vore Noir for the colors. I thought it was pretty cool. And so I put up a free file on Gumroad. It's called UV Mirror Flakes Tutorial Resource, which means I better get started in making it a resource for something. This is the first version of the file that I'm opening right now. It's what you can get at Gumroad. It shows a cycles version of 4 example flakes. The most important thing about these flakes are their nodes. The node setup allows for individual characteristics based on the location of each flake. That location passes through a Musgrave texture. The Musgrave texture, of course, can be manipulated to then change the variation between the flakes. The greater the variation in this node right here, and the greater the variation in the add node that connects the UV map input to the Musgrave texture distorted location input, the greater the variation. There are 2 Voronoi textures. The first one deals with the opacity of the object. The second one deals with the actual RGB color of the object. Their scales are connected with a single value node. Feel free to play with the difference in that value node. Feel free to disconnect it entirely and make one scale different from the other. But in the look dev, you won't be able to see a difference because it doesn't support the kind of opacity that this uses. So I press Z8 to bring it into life, and I can hide the gooey bits that Blender provides by clicking this button over here to stop showing overlays. Now we see the details that are hiding inside of these 6-pointed UV mirrored objects that I wanted to share with you. Another important thing to change is this second drop down of the Voronoi texture. When you change it, you get vastly different designs. Now some of you may say, wait just a second, this looks awfully familiar, I've seen your YouTube channel before. You may be thinking of this outrageously popular and successful kaleidoscope video. A year ago, look at that, 44,000 views. Very impressive, trust me. But this is not the same thing. The other workspace to explore is the UV editing workspace. Because when you tab into an object, you'll see that it's cut 6 different ways across 12 different edges. This is the part that makes it happen. That's the one part that I'm going to show you right now. Hello, hi, hola, handle and greeting, Blender 2.80. We are going to dial things back very quickly to defaults, and I'm going to show you a quick setup that you'll want to use to get your very own emitted symmetry. The circle I've created has 12 sides. I've selected every other edge and marked them as seams. The number of sides should fit nicely into the number 360, as in 360 degrees. Although there's no material yet assigned to this circle, I can use keyboard shortcuts L and U after choosing Face Select mode or pressing 3 on the keyboard. UV Island by UV Island, I can select polygons and unwrap them. Once all of the islands are independently unwrapped, I can select all polygons and now take a look here in this portion of the UV editor that is not a 3D view. This is the 2D cursor. That comes in very handy right now. Press N. Tap View. Now you'll see the cursor location is between a value of 0 and 1. When I select pixel coordinates, the cursor location is now available between 0 and 256. I'll just click and drag down and type in 128 to put my cursor in the middle as an exercise. What I want to do is arrange this rounded area to be evenly distributed with this rounded area as the first of two steps. What you want to do is disable sticky selection mode before you make a selection. In disabling the sticky selection mode, our movements of the chosen vertices don't interrupt the vertices they really do connect with in the model. So now I can do it correctly. It's an important thing to know because it's a mistake that anyone could make. Now I have my pieces all aligned. I'll return my cursor back to the middle by typing 128, but now I'll choose the median point as the pivot and everything selected. I can rotate this so that its center line is up and down. Its center line, because it's representing symmetry, is along the x-axis, which is easy enough to type in. Its weighted center point vertically is not quite so tidy, but we don't have to be exact. Now in the shading workspace, by pressing 7, choosing a rendered view, and assigning a material, I can add a texture that we know is going to be just beautiful when it's symmetrical. But why isn't it symmetrical? Because we're not yet using the UV. Now if we use the UV directly, it's still not symmetrical. Do you know why? It's not symmetrical because we haven't folded one piece over another. It's this folding that makes it happen. I'll change my pivot point back to the 2D cursor, which we placed by using the View tab, X coordinates. I'll press 3 on a keyboard and I'll click and drag over the half of the UVs that I want to fold across that cursor. And by selecting UV, mirror, X-axis, it happens. And it's that simple. The elegance of that technique can bring you so many good results, and it's something that not a lot of people do. And I frankly haven't seen any tutorials teach, although I'm sure they're out there somewhere. So I hope that you get a great deal of use out of the Flakes Giving file, and that you remember the Flakes Giving file is designed for a dark background because these geometries are emitting. They are not diffused. If we had changed this to diffuse, everything would be dark and dingy. So for now, it's emission. Best of luck to you, and when I have more to share or anything to change, I'll let you know. Have fun, and find me around the internet.